Hey y'all, it's Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How y'all doing? Welcome to my messy desk where I am just preparing quite a few Tau pieces. And before you is actually some of my slowly becoming one of my favorite pieces in a way. But that being said, it's hard because the more I build the Tau stuff, I'm realizing everything's partially my favorite for one way or another that I've built because they're all interesting and intricate, but the mechas are really where it's at for me, and man, these are a beautiful thing. What I have before you is two of the Ghostkeels, and one is an actual GW model and the other is a knockoff. You can probably tell which one if you've played and opened the Combat Patrol pretty quickly, but I think it's an important note to just see kind of the detail of these things. They are very beautiful. Vehicle. This guy has got a magnetized arm. That this gun is quite a heavy firearm, so any movement causes it to move, which I'm not really a fan of. I might have to do some readjusting here. But he is using the cyclic ion raker. Very cool and beautiful concepts here. Got some painting going on with the character inside of the Ghostkeel. Haven't done much painting past that. Just needed to paint inside there because once you get him in there, it's kind of hard to get him out. So, and get to details on him. Yeah, this is a beautiful model. Very interesting. And in 9th edition was like okay at best. And in 10th edition is beautiful. This thing is truly something special. And wow, what a model it is. You can see some issues right there as well, right? Things that tried to fix, but once there's paint on it, especially for spots where I want to do, I think black for the mechanic joints, and then more silver or things for some of the mechanics as well. I don't know, just somewhat to hide some of those things, but also I just really like the black under painting on some of these. And actually what's interesting about this is he is in fact glued down, except for his gun has a big old magnet in it. I tried something new this time, which makes it way easier to mess with. But yeah, Ghostkeels are a really neat thing, and as their name kind of implies, they are, everything about them is this idea and design of, hey, let's be stealthy, and they are stealthy. So let's go over their data sheet for just a little bit here and talk a little bit about the Ghostkeel. Now, this will be a little bit more interesting here because we're just doing an actual physical paper here. 10 inches of movement, 8 toughness, so not really that tough, but you know, so it's a lighter vehicle in essence. A 2-up save, that's fantastic. 12 wounds, great number there. 7+ leadership, not great there. And OC3 is not good, but we'll work with it, right? So in essence, what it can equip is either Cyclic Ion Raker or Fusion Collider for its main weaponry, and these twin weapons switch out for the top little things up on its shoulders, right? And as you saw on mine, I have the Cyclic Ion Raker on both of mine with magnetization, so I can switch out if need be, but also for the other weaponry, Twin Fusion Blasters. It was really hard actually to choose for the secondary weapons because you only get one shot with the Twin Fusion Blasters. We'll go through each of these, but their damage potential is quite high and the AP is quite high. So they have some pretty awesome options to make happen there compared to some of the other weaponry. So one of the things you'll note is there's a 4-up on all of these except for the Tau Flamer, which has Torrent, so it just goes through those kinds of things. Like, it just auto hits. Pretty cool, but it has D6 of shots, so you don't actually know how many shots you get. You could get the 6, you could get 1, right, or somewhere in the middle. So first off, Cyclic Ion Raker. It has a standard and overcharge version, so whenever you fire it, you have to choose one of those two. And if you fire with the overcharge, you have hazardous, so you can actually take 3 mortal wounds from doing that firing, but you get some bonuses for doing so. 36-inch range regardless, 6 attacks, 4-ups to hit, which they could be guided, so it's probably going to be a 3-up if you're playing correctly. 7 strength and then 8 strength, -1 to -2 AP, and you're probably going to ignore cover if you're targeting for it. Observing for the Ghostkeel. 2 damage on its smaller one, 3 damage for the top. And it's only 1 extra damage, but that extra AP as well really makes sure that the damage actually sticks. So really it's a quite an increase on what's actually going through there. The Fusion Collider as another option. Melta 2 is once it's within, I believe, half of its range, so 9 inches, you get an extra 2 damage on top. It's only 2 attacks, though. It's strength 12. That's where it's nice. Minus 4 AP, D6 with +2 possible with the Melta 2. And that's cool and all. But we have some interesting problems. We're not going to talk a whole lot about the Twin Burst Cannon. You get to reroll wound rolls, I believe, with Twin Links, so they all have that. Lots of attacks, no AP, 5 strength, 1 damage. Whereas the Flamer is a little bit better in the way that it ignores cover, so you wouldn't have to help target for it if you didn't need it. Torrent, so it auto hits. That's the nice part. But then you still have to roll a wounding with a 4. Whereas the Fusion Blaster has that Melta 2 built in as well. 9 strength, so not quite as strong as the big Fusion Collider, but minus 4 AP still with the D6 of damage and that Melta 2. So it still has the same damage potential as the big Fusion Collider. And that's why, it's not ideal, but it's still a pretty good weapon. Its melee isn't much to talk home about. 5 up to hit, 3 attacks, 6 strength, 0 AP, 2 damage. So the 2 damage is nice, but good luck ever getting it through. So let's go down here really quickly, and then we'll come up and talk about, we'll work our way up opposite, because that's what's interesting about Ghostkeel. Damage, when it has 1 to 4 wounds remaining, it subtracts 1 from its hit roll. So you really don't want that to happen, but there's ways to mitigate that because it's probably not going to happen for quite a while. Battlesuit support system, this is just a free war gear thing that you just have. It's eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back, but loses the smoke keyword. Whoop-de-doo, you can't use smoke ability. Okay. This is important. So the designers don't just say place 2 stealth drones, because now drones are just tokens basically to just say, hey, you have these abilities. Kind of neat to have just as a reminder. But that's all they are for the most part. There are exceptions to that, but very, very few. Stealth drones. Twice per battle after an attack has been allocated to this model, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. So if something massive is able to hit this thing, you can actually go, nope, I'm taking a stealth drone. That 6 damage, that 8 damage is a 0. All right? Nice. You can do that twice. So it has further greater good, so it can target and be observed for. Pretty awesome. When it blows up, you get to roll a 6 or D6 on a 6. It explodes and then does D3 of mortal wounds if it rolls a 6. Kind of cool. Infiltrators. As long as it's 9 inches away from any enemy unit, it can be placed anywhere on the map at the start of the game. This is a really crazy thing. So this thing can be out there as a big old nasty just harassment wherever you need it. But also it has lone operative. Lone operative means if they're not within 12 inches, they can't target you to shoot at you. So you can keep this thing out and really just mess with control of the battlefield for quite a while. It also has stealth, and that means that they have to get a -1 to hit you. So for range attacks, right? This is... So everything about this is, okay, first off, you're not going to be able to hit him outside of 12 inches. But if you do get within that, -1 to hit. Also, you have to deal with the 2-up save, right? And when you do actually finally hit it, also it can just go, you know what, twice, that was no damage. I'll just change that to a 0. And once it does get tied down, it can actually fall back and still shoot, and has 10 inches of movement to get out of there. And maybe have something else to kind of help back it up and support it to get it out of danger. Ghostkeel is fascinating because it allows you to control the battlefield. 36-inch range means you don't have to be very close. The fusion blasters are there for when stuff starts getting in there and you can't get away fast enough, right? Because what if something does charge you? Well, 10 inches of movement, even with falling back and still being able to shoot, isn't going to get you out of range of everything there, but it still leaves you within 12 inches of your fusion blasters, so you can do some extra damage. They're not going to hit very often, but when they do, that's going to hurt, right? And the fact is, if you can get it to where they can reroll their hit roll, they're twin linked for the fusion blasters, so you can reroll the wound roll as well. Bonkers stuff, right? And there's 2 of them, so you get 2 shots. Not a lot, but on top of those other 6 shots, you could do some work with the Ghostkeel. The big thing that this thing is really used for is controlling the board, because they can't spawn within 9 inches of it, and he's got a big base. He's a big old boy. And so he's going to take up a lot of real estate. Could they still charge him after that? Yes, they could. And they could, fire within if they're within 9 inches, right, from spawning. Okay. But -1 to hit, only that group that spawns in there or the thing that moves in. It just allows to have such an interesting board control and get things ready to when you're ready to strike with, say, crisis battle suits or other things. And this thing can still do some pretty serious damage. It's not going to do anything like a crisis battle suit team, but that's 6 models plus a leader, right? Very different in this, whereas a Ghostkeel is 1. But its really role is control of the board. And these things control the board, and they look awesome doing it. Beautiful, beautiful pieces, beautiful models. Can't wait to paint these up. That's my next big goal, is to really start painting my Tau. And you can see in the image right now, there is something painted on the board nearby. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about the Ghostkeel? Is it something that you enjoy using? How many do you use? Do you use 3 of them? 1, 0, 2? What are we talking? I think it's just a fascinating tool in the toolkit for people that really, really enjoy the Tau, and it allows for quite an awesome board control, and honestly pretty scary that it can just sit out in the open and just go, yeah, are you actually hitting me? Because I don't think you are. And even when you do, probably aren't going to hurt me. It's kind of awesome, crazy to think about. And if it's supported, it can ignore cover by being guided and, you know, get +1 to hit. If they have the marker like keyword, they get to ignore cover as well. So all of a sudden you have something pretty nasty here with the Ghostkeels. So they are a great board control and harassment type. And they're vehicle, walker, fly, smoke, battlesuit, and Ghostkeel. Well, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about the Ghostkeel? I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. Take care.